On paper, the United States holds enormous leverage over Israel. In theory, this should allow Washington to compel Israeli behavior. In practice, however, across multiple administrations, whether they're Democratic or Republican, it has not been able to restrain or compel Israeli behavior. And it's not because the leverage doesn't exist, it's because the leverage is neutralized from within. This contrast is revealing. In the early 1990s, Israel required US guarantees for a $10 billion loan to absorb Russian immigrants after the Soviet Union collapse. President George H.W. Bush was interested in negotiating a deal between the Israelis and the Palestinians at the time. So President H.W. Bush wanted a guarantee that Israel was not going to use the money that the US was going to help them obtain to expand settlements in the West Bank. So he used his leverage over Israel, drew a hard line, and forced compliance. And it worked. Israel caved, but it was the last time they would ever do so. Fast forward 20 years, and Benjamin Netanyahu standing in front of Congress urging the United States to sabotage its own president and the Iran nuclear agreement in order to satisfy Israel's interests, which ended up happening within just a few years. A decade later, despite Israel's full dependence on American weapons and cover, both Joe Biden and Donald Trump gave it everything it needed to carry out the genocide in Gaza and go to war with Iran. Aircraft carriers were deployed, missile defenses were activated, tens of billions of dollars were spent, all at enormous cost to America's global standing and domestic political support. By any rational measure, this ran against America's interests. Yet it continued. Israel was still dependent on the United States, arguably more than ever. So how did the US go from President Bush demanding Israel cave to his demands to presidents bending over and giving Israel everything it wants? The answer is simple. What changed was Israel's leverage over America's leverage. You see, administrations rotate. Presidents come and go, but Zionist networks with their long-term objectives remain embedded, permanent, shaping narratives and incentives from inside the system. To quote Benjamin Netanyahu from a private conversation recorded over 30 years ago, "America is a thing that is easily moved."
Trust nothing. No law.